Hello, hello. We may or may not be live. Let's try to figure this one out. So I think I'm live. Yeah, I'm gonna assume I'm live. I'm not saying anything silly starting now. And yeah, I'm gonna assume I'm live and be a bit more aware of what I'm saying. I'm doing a live stream today, first live stream, and we're just testing out if everything works. Basically, I've got a mic, I've got a camera, and I've got the software. I've got this running on OBS. It's Streamlabs, and I'm just trying to figure out if this is all going to work. Today I'm just going to be having a quick look at the StackOverflow developer survey and see how that goes, and see if the volume and the music is all right. So we'll be looking over here a lot to get some feedback. I think my wife to have a look and see if everything is sounding all right. Cool. I think it sounds okay to me. I can actually hear myself, so I'm going to turn that off. And now I can't hear myself. There we go. Cool. So let me know if I need to speak up or increase the input gain on the mic or anything. But I think we're good for now. Cool. So StackOverflow, they do a survey every year, developer survey. Basically, different questions and different statistics about technology, what people like to use, what they don't like to use, developer profiles, the type of people that are coding, where they're from, the ages, etc. That's what I'm going to be having a look at. And I've got 2021 as well. I'm going to contrast and compare a bit and just see how the world of technology is looking at it. So 65,000 last year, 80,000 this year. So this has grown. It's definitely grown over the past few years. 80,000 is a reasonable size to get some good data, I think. So we're starting off in geography. Yeah, this is an interesting one, geography. Presumably the majority of this will be from the States. Let's see if it sounds doing okay. My volume's not loud enough, so let me increase the input gain here. Okay, I've put up my input gain. Let me hear that. I just hope because I'm running this on my MacBook Pro. I just hope the fan isn't too loud. So let me know if it is, and if so, we'll sort something out. We'll move that away, or I'll move closer to the mic or something. Cool. Let's pop this to 15. Okay. Geography. So it's a bit different already. You can see the difference. The United States is going to be the most standard, I think, followed by India, 10,000, 15,000. Usually UK, Germany, some of these European countries might be quite high. France, Spain. I need to be a bit louder, apparently. All right, let's move this up. Okay. So I'm going to go up a tiny bit. So I've put that louder. Let me know if you can hear the fan of the laptop or anything, or if that's okay. I think that might be okay. I'll move closer to the mic as well, other than when I look this way. Hello, your voice is low. Where are you from? I'm based in Edinburgh, Scotland. Right here, UK. Vive Cas Coder. Vive. Is that Vive Cas Coder? Vivek as Coder? As you can tell, I'm brilliant at naming. Anyways, nice to meet you. Geography-wise, it's hard to actually compare these two. I wanted to check if there are countries that hadn't responded that have responded. So you can see some of these zeros. Eritrea, South Sudan, Equatorial Guinea. No responses here. Djibouti. We actually had a response in Eritrea last year. Where's our friend in Eritrea gone? Maybe they missed this one. Vivek. Thanks for the sub a while ago, Vivek. I'm going to be trying to do a few more live streams in the future about tech stuff. More, maybe some of the tutorials. Maybe I like the kind of idea of rebuilding clones and things, or just anything and everything. But if you have any suggestions, yeah, let me know. You may hear baby shouting in the background as well. She's okay. She's fine. Her mom's with her. Writing that first line of code. 50% of our respondents wrote the first line of code between the ages of 11 and 17. Excuse me? That's crazy. 11 and 17. Younger than 5 years, 1.9%. 1.09. So 905 people younger than 5 filled out this survey. I hadn't even written codes when I was 15. I think I started coding at maybe towards the end of high school, 17, 18, going into uni. So younger than 5 is quite impressive. This makes sense. 11 to 17, 18 to 24. Yeah. I wonder if there's an ages thing there. Last year. No. That's a new one, I guess. Let's scroll down. Learning how to code. This is an interesting one. Where people learn how to code. Vlogs, videos. Schools. So schools a bit lower. So it's interesting people learn to code from videos and blogs for schools. Oops. I'm sure she'll be fine. The age one will be different here because I think different ages will learn differently. So under 18-year-olds, you can see that under 18-year-olds are going to learn mainly from online resources. But as soon as you jump to, let's see, 25, 34, 35, 44, you can see more people learn from books, schools. Yeah, that sounds about right. Years of coding. Let's see. Less than a year, 1 to 4 years, 5 to 9 years. That's about right as well. Average top countries. Now that kind of suggests there's been more coding in the UK, I guess. Interesting. Years coding professionally. Is that the same as years coding? 5 to 9 years. It's roughly the same. A bit less people have been coding professionally for long. Cool. Developer type. Senior executive. Is that developer type? Do senior executives develop? I guess maybe startups, smaller companies. Engineering managers, product managers. Do you guys develop? Developers in more senior roles have the most years of coding, which makes sense. Or maybe this is their role now. Maybe they've done a bit of development in their time. Yeah. Student, 4 years. Average years coding professionally. So students have an average years of coding 4 years professionally. Maybe through freelancing. Is that considered professional? Developer types. Yeah, most people are going to claim to be full stack. That's completely reasonable. Back end and front end. That makes sense. A lot of people argue about this one because they say, I guess some people suggest that you're never truly full stack. I'm of the mind I think you can be. Yeah, I think you can be. I think it's hard to be like a subject matter expert. It's hard to dive down into a kind of a wide variety of languages. It's hard to be an expert if you want to, you get the really experienced OG developers and they'll know everything about very specific kind of subset of technologies. I've worked with a few guys, for example, that are great at kind of the Java and the ecosystem of Java and everything around that, and they will tell you the inside out, absolutely everything about that. Really, really smart guys, but they won't know a thing about front end. or maybe even DevOps or other things. But maybe I think that's changing a bit. Definitely changing a bit. This is the developer types. Back, and I thought I'd see DevOps somewhere up here. There we go. It's interesting that desktop and enterprise applications is above mobile. I'd imagine mobile would go higher, and web is always going to be the top. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. DevOps makes sense. Designer, yeah. Database administrator. These all make sense. Education. Let's look at education. 70% of all respondents and 80% of professional developers have completed some form of higher education. Yeah, I wonder if this will change. This is an interesting as well. IT is one of those weird ones where do you really need a degree to be good at it? I've worked with many folk that don't have a formal education. Brilliant developers didn't really make it. I've never kind of seen a argument to suggest that an education makes you a better developer, or the other way around. Degrees, yes. The majority of people just have the bachelor's degrees. Some have masters. A lot of data scientists, etc. will have this one here. Makes sense. Yeah. Professional developers, let's see that. Is that the same? Yeah, it's pretty much the same. But a lot more professional. 50% have got degrees. Well, bachelors actually more. Include the master's degrees. Demographics. We've looked at some of the ages. Almost half. Yeah. Some genders, predominantly men. I think hopefully we're starting to see a shift to other genders too. Becoming more inclusive, hopefully. I guess this makes sense. I'd imagine, I wonder if those kind of questions were in the previous years. Demographics, let's see. Race and ethnicity. Yeah, gender. Transgender. Developer role and gender. Wow, there's a lot of split here. Yeah, that's interesting. Sexual orientation, race and ethnicity. So we've got all of these. Again, and it kind of makes sense with the demographic, the geography we saw earlier on. That the majority would be white or European descent, South Asian, Hispanic, or Latino. Disability status. Yeah, this one's always interesting because it's a world that it's hard to kind of visualize how, it's hard to understand how, someone that's, for example, blind or difficulty seeing codes, right? I always find that interesting. It's something that you should be conscious about as a developer, right? To be, especially as a web developer, to be accessible. But the tools that you're building with need to also be accessible for people. Mental health is another one. And I thought it was in last year as well. Yeah, age, country, technology. Well, let's get into the meaty part, the technology. Popular languages. All respondents. JavaScript all the way at the top there. Oh wow. So that's quite common. So JavaScript completes its 9th year in a row. This makes sense. I mean, the web is built on JavaScript. Let's see, where's TypeScript? TypeScript's down here. It'll be interesting to see how TypeScript goes up here. 30%, that's already quite big. That's quite big. 30% TypeScript. I can't imagine it ever really swapping places, not anytime soon anyways. But that's quite impressive. That's already 30%. I think it says here for most developers, programming is web programming, Python stages. Third most popular language. So Python has become the third most, okay. So last year I guess that would have been SQL third, Python's gone up. Java was 5th. Where's Java? Still 5th. Yeah, Java's not going anywhere anytime soon. Can we see for India also? Sorry, I'll try to keep looking at the chat. I always forget. India. You see demographics. We saw up here the number of, where is it? Gender, transgender, sexual orientation, race and ethnicity. So I guess we've got Southeast Asian, East Asian. I don't think I actually see, or South Asian. I guess this is This is the one we're looking at. 11.6%. Most popular languages. Yeah, so we're saying JavaScript, HTML, CSS standard, Python standard, especially with, I mean, Python is, I think most people consider that one of the good entry level programming. I guess the same with JavaScript, easy to understand, easy to learn. So that's, I think most people coming into coding will be coming into one of those two avenues. And if it's web development, it's more likely to be JavaScript. But then you have all the data side, the data analytics, the big data, all those sides. They're all going to be using Python, or most of them anyways, or something like R or something. But the majority will be Python. SQL is going to be around for a bit. That's no problem. Java, yeah, I was saying that Java is going to be around for a while, and the number of legacy systems as well. It's just, systems that continue to stay in Java, but it's just the number of legacy systems that I know of that are built in Java. It's just impossible to move away from them, or it takes a while. So that's always going to stick around. Node.js has grown quite quickly. I can imagine that moving up. C# standard, Bash, so C++ is still around. PHP, C, of course. These three as well are on, I think, everyone's radars. Go, Kotlin, and Rust. They're kind of the ones that everyone. I've tried Rust. I struggled a bit with it. I really liked some of the concepts. Let's see. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I think my internet's acting up a bit. We'll see how it goes. If the video is choppy and stuff, let me know. We'll see how it goes. Go, Kotlin, Rust, yeah. Go's nice. I know a lot of people like coding in Go. I think it's meant to be an easy language to learn as well. Simple. I think that's the main mantra of Go. It's the simplicity, and it was. I mean, if you pick it up, it is quite a simple language. If you look at some code in Go, I find that easier to read than Rust at a glance. I don't think that necessarily means it's better or worse. But Rust has definitely got a few new concepts to grasp. And yeah, I've not really played much with Kotlin, but I think I should, because I've got quite a heavy Java background, and Kotlin's right next door. Yeah, so that's basically as expected. Professional developers is pretty much the same. SQL is still above in the professional development world by quite a fair bit, which makes sense, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting. Databases. Let's see where the NoSQL world's coming. So MySQL, Postgres, SQLite, and then MongoDB. That's about right. That sounds about right. I wonder if I feel like Postgres is. I feel like that one's. I would have thought that one would be the most popular now. So that one is going up. MongoDB, yeah. Where's Redis? Redis, Firebase as well. Elasticsearch, these are all considered databases. Yeah, that makes sense. Professional developers, similar. Yeah, a bit more Microsoft. Yeah. Yeah, I mainly use Firebase nowadays for smaller projects anyways, and Postgres on the bigger projects that I've been working on. So cloud platforms, AWS is probably going to lead by a fair bit. That makes sense. GCP, Azure battling it out for second place. I wonder if, yeah, so professionals, a lot more companies I've heard of using Azure than GCP. But overall, Google's above there. But again, I can't imagine it's too different. Some concepts will be, some concepts will be different, but overall it's very similar things. I can't imagine this changing anytime soon. Yeah. Web frameworks. React.js, that's obvious one. Makes sense. jQuery is still holding it strong. Angular, Express, Vue, Is Svelte kicking around? Svelte down here. ASP.NET Core. I wonder if Spring. Yeah, so Spring. We got Spring from Java. Django and Flask from Python. ASP.NET from the C# world. Angular, AngularJS. Is that not the same thing? Is that different? Should they be together? Ruby on Rails. That's still sticking around, and that will be for a bit. Yeah, I guess this is all the. So I can't imagine it's much different for professional. A bit more Angular. I always imagine that the professional one's just a bit behind, because typically it's not as easy. I mean, if you're in a professional environment, you can't just go about changing things all the time. Whereas in your small projects, etc., you just try out the new technologies, and that all makes sense. Other frameworks, libraries. What's the difference between other framework libraries and web frameworks? And also, let's go back and compare. Oh, have we missed a section here? No, we're still in the most popular technologies. What were the most popular web technologies last year? Platforms. I guess we have the web ones. There we go. jQuery. Okay. So React's beating jQuery now. Great. I think we could all see that one coming. Other tools. Git, Docker, Yarn, Deno, Puppet, Unreal Engine. These all tools, I guess. Puppet, Deno. Pulumi. Pulumi's great. I wouldn't really consider other tools. Maybe these is just an open fundamental Pulumi developer. Yeah, Pulumi's great. It's an alternative to Terraform. But you write it in normal code, basically, programming language. So it's basically SDK. So you can write this in JavaScript, Go. So it's an infrastructure as code tool, but you write it in JavaScript or Go or C#. Was there Go? I think there was JavaScript, TypeScript, Go, C#. This is a cool tool. I've got a tutorial coming on this, so I've been playing around with it a bit, and I've not used it in a kind of a proper environment, just with little projects. I can't quite compare it to Terraform on that scale because I've used Terraform in larger projects, so I know how the different modules work, how it scales, how multiple people in a team use it, and how to use Terraform Cloud with it, and how to manage state. But there was a bit of a learning curve with Terraform, just in terms of everything, in terms of the language, because they have their own HCL, is it? HashiCorp something language. And then the way you split modules and just the way you structure projects, etc. Everything's a bit slightly different, slightly new. Whereas here, if we look as an example, yeah, here we go. Here you're just writing JavaScript. There you go. You're writing JavaScript, you import, you write some JavaScript, and then you run your command, Pulumi up, and it does the exact same thing, very similar to Terraform. In the command line, you spin it up, it checks a diff, there's a state file somewhere, it's checking your infrastructure, and it creates or destroys your infrastructure, etc. It's pretty cool, IDEs, Visual Studio Code's got to be up top. Yeah, I'm on the IntelliJ bandwagon, so I mean, I love that Notepad++ is up here. 29%, almost 30% of people said, you know what, my IDE of choice is Notepad++. I don't know how that quite works, because I never use Notepad++, plus I'm on Mac, but I wonder if, yeah, is there a proper environment to work on? Can you, is there build tools? Can you run things? Or is it just a text editor? What's kind of going on here? Somebody needs to fill me in. Vim's got good effort as well. It takes some time to learn it, but once you learn it, then productivity improves by 100%. But that for me it doesn't take any time to learn, because you're just there pretty much, and your productivity goes up 100%. So I'm good with this. But it does look cool when you use Vim, though. Yeah. Clips, PyCharm. I wonder if these things like PyCharm and WebStorm and PHPStorm, I mean, they're all pretty. I wonder if that would boost up IntelliJ's rankings here. professional developers. Ah, yeah, and professionals, IntelliJ jumps up a step. That's good. Operating systems. Windows. Wow, Windows is actually a fair bit. I'd have thought that Mac OS would be climbing up. Yeah, makes sense in professional world. Cool, I guess we'll have a quick look at the what time we got. Yeah, loved, dreaded. Oh, this is different. Rust is the most loved language, while Python is the most wanted language for its 5th year. Loved. So they've got loved versus dreaded. I remember, because this is the one everyone likes to see. They had that separate. So Rust is 80. Where's Rust here? Ah, so it's the same. They've just combined these two. 86.1%, and that's dreaded here. 13. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Rust is still up top. Closure. Closure is that second most loved? Is that right? Don't even think it was on the charts last time, was it? I don't know a thing about Closure. I've never used it. Does anyone? No idea. I don't know anything about Closure, really. I've never used it. I've never really worked with anyone that used it much, or it's never really come up much in discussions as well. So, is this in order? Yeah, this must. Well, this is most loved language. I guess the question is this in order of most loved? Yeah, or is it just the ratio of people that use it and whether they love and dread it? Anyways, Closure is very loved. TypeScript is also very loved. So everything up to here, this is like the 50%. So Ruby, HTML, CSS, 60%, JavaScript, Kotlin. So we got Kotlin, Go, and Rust, I guess, is up and coming, where Rust seems to be the one that everyone likes. Elixir, Julia, Python. Cool. Where's Java? Where's my baby? Java. More people dread Java than love it. Oh no. It's just misunderstood, guys. It's just misunderstood. I did Java at uni. This is the first one I learned, I think. Hence, and then I when I started working, I was doing Java for the back end. I started off with jQuery, the front end, before moving to React. But yeah, I've always enjoyed working in Java. And when I was at uni, so the transition between uni and kind of graduating is when Java 8 came out. So I never had to professionally develop pre-Java 8. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did pick up some legacy systems, but predominantly it was post-Java 8, which was quite good. And now I think it's heading in the right direction. But yeah. Databases, most loved. Well, is that it actually here? Let's see the wanted. Python is most wanted. TypeScript is most wanted. So Go, Rust, Kotlin, Node.js, C++. Cool. Databases, Redis is the most loved one. That makes sense. Everyone loves Redis nowadays. Redis is the solution to all problems, right? Slow system, chuck on Redis. Cache it. Quick. Before it's too late. Postgres, yeah. MongoDB, Elasticsearch, Firebase. That's about right. I feel like that's about right. Couchbase stuff. Yeah. I worked with Couchbase a while ago, and I didn't really have the best of experience. But this was about 4 or 5 years ago. So I wonder if it was a bit. It felt a bit clunky. I wonder if it's improved now. I might need to go check that out again. But yeah. So most people want Postgres, MongoDB, and then Redis and Elasticsearch. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually surprised MongoDB is that close to Postgres, or maybe it's one of those scenarios where everyone using SQL at work wants to use NoSQL, and everyone that's used NoSQL for a while maybe just wants to go back to SQL, or maybe not. Platforms, AWS, GCP, Azure. That's pretty much the same as, responses we saw in the most popular ones, I guess. So that's kind of indicates that's not really going to change much. Most people want AWS. Most people, AWS is the most popular. Most people love it, and most people want it. It's going to stick around. Newcomer Svelte takes the top spot as the most loved framework. React is the most wanted. Hey, that's crazy. So that's, I was looking, yeah, I was mistaken. So most popular is much more different than the most loved. I guess most popular is maybe people are using it day to day or using it in actual projects. So Svelte is definitely, yeah, most loved. I've played around a bit with Svelte, never much more than the tutorials, so I might need to give that a go. Surprised ASP.NET is here. But then again, I've heard quite good things. Well, about .NET Core anyways. Which is cool. Don't really know too much about Fast API though. React.js, staying strong. Vue, Express, Spring. Yeah. And one, React. Everyone wants to do React. Then we got Vue, Django. Where's Svelte here? So Svelte's the most loved, but it's not really, I guess it's still quite high, but more people want to use Django and Angular and Vue. Interesting. So a lot of people wanting jQuery, which is good. Fast API. What's Fast API? Is that Python? Ah, it's on the Python one. So I know of Flask. I've worked with Flask before. I've worked with Django briefly. Never really done much with Fast API. Anyways. I wonder if this web framework's most loved Reddit. Let's see if it's the same last year. Web frameworks. Actually most loved last year was .NET Core. That's changing. Things are changing. React.js was the most wanted, and now it's become the most, well, it's still the most wanted. I think it's the most popular. Yeah. Let's move on. Libraries, other frameworks and libraries. Well, TensorFlow is the most wanted library. TensorFlow? Yeah, that's crazy. Again, the world of machine learning, right? React Native. I want to try this out a bit more. I don't think I'll ever, I'm not really kind of too interested in mobile development as a whole, but I would definitely, yeah, definitely play around with React Native. Other tools, Git, of course. Yeah, I don't know where we'd be without Git. Docker as well. It seems to be the go-to. Terraform. Pulumi making its way up top. I definitely need to play around with Pulumi a bit more. Yarn. Yeah, I started using Yarn actually recently instead of npm. I've always known about it. I've always known it's always meant to have been faster. I don't really understand, I guess. I never really researched under the hood the big differences between Yarn and npm. But it is a lot faster. And it has caused me no problems. And therefore, I like it. Most wanted, Docker, Git. Most people want to jump on the Docker wagon. Yeah. Cool. Collaboration tools. Got things like wanted editor, Visual Studio Code, writer, Vim, UX. Want top Visual Studio Code. Yeah, that makes sense. If JavaScript is the most popular and most wanted things, then most people are going to be jumping for Visual Studio Code. Xcode, Android Studio. This one's a bit different, but I hope IntelliJ goes up. It's a great tool. IntelliJ is a great tool indeed. Most dreaded, NetBeans. That's old school. I used to use NetBeans, I think. I used it at uni. for Java. I think we may have even used it in my first job. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used NetBeans and then Eclipse. Is Eclipse somewhere here? Maybe not. Yeah, it is right above. This is before I moved to IntelliJ. That's the only reason I used IntelliJ, because of Java. And then I didn't want to have multiple IDEs because I used to use NetBeans and Visual Studio Code, or Sublime Text actually as well. So I wanted just one IDE that did everything amazingly. And Visual Studio Code wasn't great at Java, or isn't. I'm not sure if it is, but it definitely wasn't. So I went to IntelliJ, and IntelliJ was great at JavaScript, and is great at everything I've used. Python, every tool I've used, it's been able to handle it quite well. Worked with versus want to work with. That's a cool little diagram. Worked with versus how do I. Who can explain to me how do I analyze this? So this is, if you hover over this, this is what you. So most Go developers, what's that? Scripting. Work with Go, want to work with, I guess, yeah, okay. So everyone that works with HTML wants to work with where these are going, is that right? If I follow that out. Okay. So the lines from HTML going out are the people that work with HTML that want to work with different languages. So most people in JavaScript want to work with, well, there's a fair bit, you can see that line there, want to work with TypeScript. That's good to see. SQL, HTML, Node.js. Let's go SQL, Rust. Does anyone want to work with Rust? Thin lines coming out of these ones. Java, most people are in Java. Is there Kotlin around here? I'm surprised, is that this one here? There we go, 7,000 who worked for Java want to work with Kotlin. Yes, that makes sense. I wonder if there's people in TypeScript that want to work for 23,000 who worked with, oh, that's JavaScript to TypeScript. I thought maybe there'd be people that work in TypeScript that want to move to JavaScript because it's easier. Easier, short term, easier. Let's see, professionals. Some bigger lines here. Java professionals, going to Kotlin. Yeah, cool stuff. Databases, MySQL. Most people want to go to Postgres or MongoDB even. That's interesting. SQLite. Most people want to go to, is that 2 lines? Postgres want to go SQLite. So let's go both ways. That's cool. What about Microsoft? People at Microsoft want to stay with Microsoft, or go to MongoDB, or go to Postgres and nothing else. Microsoft guys, either they want to stay, they want to go to Postgres, or they want to abandon SQL altogether. And platforms. If I'm on AWS, I might want to go to GCP. That's what that says. Most of them want to stay. This kind of tells you that most people are happy with AWS. Azure. A lot of people want to go away from Azure. Where do they want to go? AWS. Some, I guess a lot of them want to stay as well. GCP, DigitalOcean. Web frameworks. This is a good stat. This tells you everything you need to know about Spring. 5,490 who worked with Spring want to work with Spring. That's great. Yeah, I've done a lot of work with Spring, and it's great. I don't know if I would say wouldn't want to try out something else. I guess Java folks might not want to. Yeah, this doesn't quite translate. No, it does. That's what I say. You can't quite, because this is. I've worked with Spring as kind of a REST API, not as much as a server-side rendered application. So I've used Spring with React. for example. But nobody wants to move to Spring either. But that makes sense. You can't move from, well, you could, but you wouldn't typically move from React to Spring. I guess you could use React in Spring if you wanted to. I wonder if a lot of people want to move away from jQuery. Yeah. Express as well. Frameworks and libraries, yeah, these are pandas. I know these are Python libraries. They're used quite a lot in data processing. I don't know what Keras is. TensorFlow. Cool. I don't know too much about that world. Docker. A lot of people want to stay in Docker. Work with Git, want to work with Docker as well. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think there's too much interesting here. It's basically just showing you the majority, but I mean, everyone wants to work, might want to work with other things, or they might enjoy it. I mean, I don't really think this indicates too much, but it's definitely interesting to see where the majority of people would. I mean, this basically tells you that most people are happy with Visual Studio Code, right? If you see a big arc, it's saying, "Hey, we're happy here," which is a good indicator. Learning and problem solving. What do you do when you get stuck? I Google it because of Stack Overflow. This is probably somewhat biased, right? I mean, it's a big number of responses, but this is a Stack Overflow podcast. I'd imagine it's somewhat biased, but then again, that's exactly what I do. So that makes sense. Or, I mean, not specifically. I mean, is Google it the term? Does it specifically mean Google? Could you DuckDuckGo it? Or insert search engine here it? Maybe that's just a generic term. It's been hijacked. Do other work and come back later. Call a friend. I will do this eventually, yeah. Watch help stores. I'm surprised a lot of people do other work and come back later. I guess that makes sense, but I will Google it. I don't know if I don't necessarily visit Stack Overflow, but you usually get directed to Stack Overflow by Googling it. I'm surprised just going for the documentation isn't here. If I'm stuck, panic, yeah, that's good. I definitely panic. Visit another developer community, but if you're stuck, would you not go to the documentation? Maybe that's what Google. Yeah. A lot more developers, professional developers, will call a friend. Yeah. Top paying technologies. Yeah, this is. Well, I guess this is also going to be a bit skewed because this mainly going to be the States. It's in dollars. States in India. Closures up there. F#. I can't imagine the price is telling us too much. I mean, it could be high because there's high demand, or high because there's a low number of specialists in that area. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting to see. Like, for example, your JavaScript will be quite low because it's the most popular. There's a lot of JavaScript. There's a lot of competition. Sometimes competition drives up the price, but I guess when it's the competition of jobs can also have the opposite effect in a way. Does that mean, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic there. If there's a lot of JavaScript developers, it means there's a lot of them competing for the same jobs, which means the jobs can lower the price. But at the same time, if there's a lot of JavaScript developers, is the expertise of a JavaScript developer that stands out higher, which means you should be paying more for them, right? Rust, Go. I think we should all just get on the closure wagon, guys. 95k. Is this the average? Closure developers have the highest median salary. That's not bad at all. Databases. DynamoDB. AWS. Elasticsearch. Paint Technologies, yeah. Svelte's up there as well, wow. Maybe a lot of people, a lot of smaller companies, a lot of companies that are, I don't know, moving technologies are moving towards Svelte, and there's not, I guess there can't be as many Svelte developers as, you know, React or Angular, because it's just not been around as long, right? Or is that not true? Laravel, where's React? That's decent. 58. I don't know. 58 the median. I guess it makes sense given there are a lot of, I think there's a lot more junior to mid-level engineers working React, so the median, because I think US, is this US? Yeah, I don't quite know how they come up with this number, because that's got to be different based off different countries. 58 is quite a decent salary. If it was pounds in the UK, that's a great salary. In the US, I've heard it's not as much. Well, I mean, it depends even within the UK. In London, maybe that's average. It's probably higher than average, but for a developer, based on living costs. A mid-level to senior, I think a senior engineer, maybe in Scotland, will be on roughly 60k. Mid-level to senior, depending on the industry, but whereas in London, it might be maybe 10-15% more because of living costs. Yeah. Work. Let's do a bit of work. Let's roll through this and finish up soon. Most people employed full-time. Student. I wonder if this will increase freelancers, self-employed, things like that. That's quite high. 9-10%. I can imagine that must have been a fair bit lower in previous years. 8-9%. 8.9. That's increasing slowly. Not employed but looking for work. 3.5. Is that higher? Not employed but looking for 3.7. So that's gone down a bit. That's good. Employment status by geography. Actually, let's go back up here. Professional developers. Yeah, that makes sense. So United States, mostly employed. So India, full-time. Germany, UK, Canada. Yeah, they're all similar. Company sizes. It's a lot more smaller companies and freelancer. Let's look at company sizes. Company information. That's a similar number. 299. That will be the big ones. The fangs. I don't know. That might be the 5-year-olds. The 905 below or under 5-year-olds answered that they've coded or written lines of code. They're the ones that don't know. Salary by developer. Engineering manager. Engineering manager is more than a senior exec. C-suite. Yeah, I can't really make too much sense of this data unless within the United States. In USD. I guess that's across everywhere. But yeah, I just feel like it needs to have, this number is not too, doesn't mean too much to me. It'd be interesting to have this split per country and have it local, because then you can at least try to compare what you have and the jobs that you have versus other jobs. But I guess it gives you at least an idea in general which gets paid more. Although I don't know what engineer data is. Back-end developer. Who's a full stack? So back-end developers typically get paid more than full stack, which I think that kind of makes sense, right? In a way. Well, in my experience anyways, you're going to be hired to be a subject matter expert. As a back-end, it's easier to be focused and be an expert at technology, whereas a full stack, it's easier to know a little and a lot. Like a master of all trades. Jack of all trades? Jack of all trades. If you're a master of all trades, that would be great. You'd be up here. Salary and experience by developer type. So just a developer over here. 12 years. I love how this starts at 8.5 years. Nine years starting at 50K. Salary and experience by language. Imagine 19 years, that's a lot of experience. Most experience in Delphi. It's got Dart, low and low. Closure, you know that, that's the highest paid. TypeScript, Node.js. Go and Rust. Doing well. Community is at the center of everything we do. Less than 1% never. Yeah, that makes sense. Most developers will be visiting this because Google points to it. Visiting Stack Overflow multiple times per day, daily or almost daily, a few times per week, a few times per month, less than once a month or monthly. I want to meet this person or these people. 2,000 people that don't visit Stack Overflow less than once per month or monthly. Are they coding all the time? Maybe it's just really smart people. Not much different in the States. Yeah. How many participants have a Stack Overflow account? Yes, no. It's not really too relevant. Participation. Yeah, this is the one. I've asked a few questions. I've never really answered questions on Stack Overflow actually. Maybe that's a good thing to do. Try to get back a bit. I've never participated in a Q&A less than once a month. Yeah, I'm probably... Yeah, the majority here. Which is crazy. I think like the top, it's crazy to think that, the top few percent, because I mean the number of questions you see on Stack Overflow and answers, and it comes from probably these guys here, the top 10% or something. And then you have the rest of us. All we do is take the information and run. Nothing wrong with that either, in all fairness. I wonder what you could do to try balance that out. It's intimidating sometimes as well, I guess, for some folk to ask the question. For sure. Especially if you're more junior. Maybe there needs to be a way to make it a bit more welcoming, I guess. Do developers consider themselves part of the Stack Overflow community? Yes, somewhat. No, not really. Your stream is freezing a bit. Thanks for letting me know. I'm not really sure what to do about that, to be honest. Let's see. Just tell me. Okay, let me try change something. I don't know if I can change this settings here. I think maybe it's the internet connection as well. I'm gonna close up soon. But thanks for letting me know. Thank you for being here. I will try change the setting that YouTube is telling me to change. Let me see what's it recommending. It's recommending a different video. 4500. Let's try. It's recommending a higher bitrate, which is interesting because I would have thought a higher bitrate would make it worse, but we shall see. Okay, I'm gonna leave that. I'll see how it goes. 55 minutes so far. I think we'll close up soon. Thank you, Akilesh. I hope I pronounced that okay. Akilesh. Member of the online developer community. No, most people are lurking. I'm a bit of a lurker too, to be honest. Public, anyone can join. Private, invitation required to join. Methodology. I think the methodology of it is just all about how they got the data. I think this one was a bit delayed because of the COVIDs. Because of COVID. Or maybe they changed the questions based on COVID. $10 minutes. Feedback. Appropriate length. Easy to complete. You participated. Where do you live? Yeah. That was it. Interesting. So not really much has changed. Python's grown a bit. Elixir, people are loving that. Not Elixir, sorry. Svelte. More people want Svelte. I see Pulumi rising as well. Interesting to see where that goes. Pulumi is an alternative to Terraform. But yeah, React.js, JavaScript, the usuals on top. Kotlin, Go, and Rust rising. Rust is still the most wanted. So it'll be interesting to see if that just continues to grow. But yeah, cool. And they got some new charts in. Rust and Go, yeah. It's not the most popular, but most wanted. Or most loved? Most loved. Rust is the most loved. And I can see that. They've got some philosophies, the way they code, the lack of runtime, the way they handle the lack of nulls, basically. And yeah, some of the paradigms they have, I can see why if you're in Rust you can love Rust. Just Place. Rust is great. Yeah, I need to try get back into it. And I say back into it because I spent a while reading the Rust book and playing around with it, but I did that for a few days. I don't fully understand it, and then I left it. So I need to go back and try understand it better. I think it's got slightly higher learning curve than some of the other languages, but I think that's a good thing because it's a different mindset. Different mindset, but it's a good mindset. I think it's a better way to think about things. Just got a job with both Rust and Go as their languages. Nice, Akilesh. Congrats on the new job. Let us know how Rust and Go go. I hear a lot of people compare the two, so I'm very interested to see which one will come out on top. Rust apparently seems to, I mean, from just having a look online, social media, etc. Go seems to be adopted more often. They say it's the simple one. It's simpler to read. If you put Go and Rust next side by side, I feel like Go is a bit simpler to read. Not that means that it's necessarily better or anything, but it does look a bit less scary, less angled brackets. Maybe that's because it doesn't have generics though. But yeah, I mean, this says all Rust is loved by the majority. Dreaded. Where's Go? Goes a bit further down. So yeah, definitely interesting going through the Rust book. It's good. The documentation as Rust is probably one of the best I've seen. It's easy. Yeah, I've got to hand in that as well. Getting started, the documentation in that book is the way the book is formatted, the examples they go through is great. Rust is setting an example of how documentation should be there. That's really good. Cool. All right, I'm gonna call it. This is me testing out the live stream. I think it works. I think Akhilesh was mentioning it's freezing a bit, so I'll look into what the issue is there. I don't know if it's internet or my machine. I'm using my MacBook Pro. It's powerful, but of course, from the graphics perspective, it might not be great. So yeah, I'll stick with it for a bit. Just the video, audio works fine. Thank you. Okay, cool. That's better. Video, yeah, I've got maybe it's not powerful enough, so I might need a bit more, something with a better graphics card, or something with a designated graphics card as well. So cool. Thanks for letting me know, Akhilesh. Cool. I'll be out with some. I've been slacking a bit with the YouTube videos recently. I started a new job a few months ago, so I've been focusing on that a bit. So I'm going to try get back into a weekly cycle. I'm going to do a bit more live streams as well, because that's a bit easier I think it's a bit easier for me, because it takes quite a bit of time to prepare a YouTube video and edit it, and I'm slow at that stuff. Whereas if I'm doing a live stream, maybe I can just dive into it. Maybe we can, yeah, I'll put out some community posts to figure out what people like, but I'm thinking of doing some clones or some similar to tutorials, or just building stuff, basically just building stuff in live streams, whether it's with new technologies or existing technologies. But yeah, cool. All right, thank you for everyone that did join in. This was fun, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.